moving on, um, this kind of just piggybacks off of what I just said. Texas lawmakers consider creating gold based digital currency for use by anyone, anywhere. So this also makes DeSantis looks like a babbling buffoon because you now put us backwards. So even though people don't or disagree with going towards a digital based currency, it's going to happen no matter what. Just like when people that were counterfeiting money back in the early 90s, they saw the changes in the dollar bills coming after 2000, in the new millennium. And they had to change their methods, but it's not like they could resist by printing more fake bills of original nature. They just adapted with the times. So even though we see this coming in the horizon, we just have to adapt with the times. Why? Because it's the only way to survive. Uh, Article says some lawmakers and experts say that there are reasons to distrust the federal digital dollar. I mean, honestly, any type of digital currency is going to be tracked. Any type of digital currency is going to be linked to you and your digital wallet, whether that be your social credit or not. That privacy goes out the window, and I don't know if people are ready to move over to this new system, but the system's here, and more states like Texas are coming out and they're just saying, no, we don't agree with the federal system, we'll create our own. But at the end of the day, it's still on that same framework I just mentioned. So you can use that same Samsung phone and use the CBDC for Texas or through the United States of America. It will work either way. Why? Because it's tied into the same framework. Article says, going forward, a worker polishes gold bullion bars at an ABC refinery in Sydney, Australia. Okay, that's got nothing to do with Texas, but we'll just, whatever. Texas could become the first state and nation to issue its own digital currency based on gold and silver. The Texas Senate could vote on Senate Bill 2334 this week, a similar bill in the Texas House Bill 4903, which did not advance. If the Texas digital currency proposal becomes law, money could be spent with a debit card by people anywhere in the world, not just in Texas. Furthermore, the article states the measure would create an an alternative to federal digital dollar, an ideal, and I apologize because I guess night mode is turned on and I haven't found a way to turn it off. I'm kind of just reading, through the dark, so just bear with me. A measure would create an alternative to a federal digital dollar, an idea currently being considered by the federal government because of the directive of the President Joe Biden. Okay, so obviously Joe Biden's like, hey, the framework's being built. I have to let everyone know this is what's coming. That's really it. Okay, he's just a messenger. He's got to let everyone know what's coming. Even though people don't want it, he's got to let everyone know, hey, this is what it is. And states should have a right to choose if they're going to go with a backed CBDC or state-funded CBDC. And if they go with a state-funded CBDC, how is each state going to back their own? Do we have enough gold and silver to go around? Or no? Does Texas have enough? Or just Texas? Like, how are they getting theirs as opposed to Florida, as opposed to, like, Oregon or California? How is that going to work? Moving on to the article, it says some conservatives has said a fear of digital dollar could be manipulated by U.S. government and used to spy on account owners, possibly controlling how and when they can spend their money. Okay, so again, it goes back to that framework. Everyone, they focus on the government spying on them, the government controlling their money, the government just looking up and saying, hey, this is so-and-so's account, and I can go and look at every penny they've ever spent and track it down and figure out where that penny was handed off to. Okay, it doesn't matter who can do it. It's on that same framework. So if the federal government can't do it, the state of Texas and its representatives can. So let that sink in. Texas CBDC is no better than a federal, the federal level. Why? Because it's off the same framework. It has to be. It has to be tied into the same framework or the same frame to be able to use it, anywhere. Texas is saying, hey, you can have ours, but you can still use it anywhere. What difference is that from the federal level? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Because I think that, even though Texas is coming out with their own, there's still no freedom of choice. Just like red on blue, Republican and Democrat, there's still no freedom of choice because at the end of the day, the outcome is the same. So again, with the article, under the proposed law, the Texas comptroller would create a digital currency based on gold or silver and would be given the authority to mint pure gold or silver coins based on weight. The coins in a digital currency would be considered legal tender to pay debts and would be readily transferable to another person. Under the plan, the digital money debit card could be used anywhere debit cards are accepted. There was no provision to eliminate the use of the federal dollar in Texas. The use of the state's digital currency would be optional and in addition to the U.S. legal tender. Under the proposed bill, people outside of Texas could create accounts and use the system wherever they live in the world as long as it's legal. So it says how it would work. Under the Texas law now under consideration, the Texas comptroller would be required to create a mechanism to use the new gold or silver based digital currency in the everyday transactions for goods and services. There is no mechanism to create because that framework already has to exist. They can't just out of the blue say, "Hey, we're gonna create our own." No, I mean they can, but they'd have to still fall back on the original framework to do so. Furthermore, continuing with the article, it states that the state comptroller or a trustee hired to oversee the program would purchase and hold enough gold or silver to cover the units of digital currency set aside for each account holder. The value of the digital currency account would fluctuate depending on the current value of gold, which is now hovering around $2,000 per ounce. So I'm going to leave the article at that because there really is no difference. I mean, it's giving me facts on how Texas would operate on their own. But again, as I understand, that framework would still be tied in to the same framework the federal government would be using. So at the end of the day, CBDC it's all tracked, it's all traced, it's all monitored. And, we're just going to have to accept it. We're going to have to move into this new age and just understand that no matter how many choices we get, just like, they said they're going to give you a debit card. So you won't even notice that you're transacting with CBDC, but no matter how many choices, no matter how many options you're presented, it's still on that same framework where it will be tracked if they need